So over a year ago now, I played and did a video on Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and the thing is with that game is that it definitely had a controversial launch because of what they did, and people were comparing it to Wildlands and how they didn't enjoy it as much, but mainly because of the changes they made or what they didn't add. And that whole video was actually my first experience of the game, so I didn't really know what it was like before, but in those few years they definitely updated and improved the game, and they put out a bunch of different updates that definitely made it a lot better, but people still weren't too sure because obviously they didn't know that they updated it. But it seems like from that video a lot of people are still returning to it. That is my most viewed video, and it seems like a lot of people even now are still wanting to know if it is worth it after all these years. I mean, it was 2019, so it's been almost 6 years, which is mental, and it's definitely way better than it was, but people still don't realise that. And because people are still looking at that video to this day, I thought it would probably be best if I do a more updated version of that video in 2025. And I know it's only been a year, but it was also mainly because I did miss out a few things in that video, and it was also more of what the game actually is because it was my first time playing it, where this video is going to be a bit different, and it's mainly going to be what has been changed since the first day, since the launch, and not so much what the game actually is about, because I feel like a lot of people know that if they're watching this video. So it will be a bit of a different style. If you want to know what the game is and what it's all about, then check out that video if you have no clue what the Ghost Recon series is. But if you want to know more about what's been changed and exactly what they've done in terms of improvements, then that is this video. So of course we know now, and we knew back then, that they had stopped updating the game because they've done all the improvements they have. So they're not going to be developing it anymore in the future unless stuff does change, but I highly doubt it. So this is Ghost Recon Breakpoint as it is and how it always will be, which was in a way a shame because there still is a few different things they could have done, and they could still update it and give out, you know, DLCs or just extra expansions to the game, because it is a great game and slightly underrated. And you know, an open world tactical or looter shooter, whichever one you pick, there's a lot of potential there for new, you know, updates, whether that be map changes or just extra content like missions. It just would be cool if they did add a few more, you know, big updates every now and then, but it doesn't look like it, and it does seem that way with a lot of their games. So it's cool that they didn't just leave it to rest right away. They actually went out of their way to do some great updates that definitely improved the game. And the biggest one, which I spoke about last time, is the Ghost experience. That came out, I believe, in maybe late 2020, so over a year after it first came out, but it was a big update and probably their most impactful one they did, which basically made it into 2 different modes, but technically 3. So there's the regular and the immersive mode, and then the regular is basically what the game was like at launch and how it was, which was more of a looter shooter style because it had gear, levels and rarities to your weapons, which people weren't a fan of. It was different from Wildlands, and not everyone likes that looter shooter feeling, and they don't want to have rarities on their guns. You'd rather just pick up whatever and then customize it your way, which is exactly what the immersive option does. So you can have the regular, but the immersive takes all of that away and strips away all the gear levels and just allows you to customize any of your loot you pick up, because levels don't matter now. So a weapon that may have been classed as terrible beforehand because of the level, you could technically use that for the whole entire game on immersive because it doesn't matter, and you can always customize it to make it better. But then you can also just have your own custom settings, so you can pick out bits from both modes to suit your playstyle. I mean, I guess you could say no complaints to your gameplay, but obviously there's a few stuff that is still missing to this day. But it's cool how, you know, it's just suited for the player way more, and you're not limited to just these select weapons and this select gear. There's just so many different options to change your playstyle and just so much flexibility there, which was missing beforehand. And it doesn't even stop there, because there's so many detailed settings for difficulty and HUD, so you can change areas in the enemy difficulty and their strength, but also the tactical settings as well, so you can go into how many weapon slots you want, for example, or the bandages quantity, the ammo loss, or the stamina drain, etc. And as you can see on the screen, there's so much to go over. I'm not going to go through all of it, but you get the point that there's so much customization now, which was, like I said, just missing beforehand. And then in terms of the difficulty of the enemies, you can change how much damage they give out and their detection, for example. And then there was the teammate experience, which was expanding on from the Ghost experience and was added a year later, I believe, which made a lot of changes in the areas for XP. So where all your teammates would earn the same amount of XP as well as you, whether that be AI or with online players, simply by playing the game and just gaining kills and revives, for example, and then with more coming from teammate missions as well. And what I meant by the AI gaining XP as well, it means that they also upgrade, which I will get into. And then there's also teammate challenges that were added later on, which gives you more XP as well, but also a bunch of cosmetics to earn. So pieces of your gear and items that you can collect, which was something that was was definitely minimal at launch. There was a bit of customization you could do in terms of your loadout and your appearance, even just when starting the game, but I feel like there could have been a bit more, and it's cool that we can earn a lot more cosmetics now. And going back to the AI teammates, you can upgrade them as well, so there's 14 upgrades in total, and then 3 active abilities at once, but they're unique to each character. So there's the piercing shot, the scan, and then the combat drone, and each of the 3 AIs have one of them. So a great detail is the fact that they're all automated as well, so you don't have to manage your teammates by adding abilities and upgrades every time they level up. So they'll just start using them as they're unique to each teammate, and each time they level up you'll just see that change without having to do anything, as well as a bunch of smaller changes added to teammates as well to just improve the game, as you can see on the screen. But the changes you make in the Ghost experience and basically all your gameplay settings are unique to you, so playing with others won't affect them, if that makes sense. So a teammate can choose all their different settings and you can change yours, and they won't, cross over. And it's just great for suiting your playstyle, which feels like a totally different game to what it was beforehand. Of course, I can't really speak on experience, I didn't play it when it first came out, but definitely, and as I said before, and even more so now really, is the perfect time to play this game. Of course, nothing has actually changed since that last year, but it also seems like more people are playing it now because they realise they have actually gone out of their way and updated it. So the community is just bigger and there's also more players on. In terms of my experience since the last time, I've definitely been doing more of the side missions. Before, I really focused on the main missions themselves and didn't really expand any more on that. So going over it this time, I took it, slower for a start, but also just trying out different things like the teammate challenges and also the side missions, which I'm not gonna lie, it do feel a bit repetitive, but that was also a complaint I had in the main missions. So the actual side quests are gonna be probably even more. I'm not gonna say they're boring, it's just a bit repetitive every now and then. A lot of the same stuff, like scanning multiple bits of intel all the time, just over and over, and then just going from one side of the map to the other just to scan another bit of intel. Of course, it's not always like that, there's definitely a lot of action involved, and in my opinion, it never was the story that was the main thing, it's mainly the gameplay for me. And although the gunplay isn't anything really advanced, it does feel kind of smooth to do. I say kind of because there's bits in, let's say, the aim assist which do feel a bit clunky, just the way it sort of locks on to the character. Of course, another thing that you can slightly change in settings, like they definitely have their weight to them and they have different feelings for each weapon, but also the look and the visuals of the gameplay look amazing. The animations are something that are so unique to the game, especially when, let's say, healing. So as you can see on the screen, just how much detail they put into that, of wrapping the bandages and then them staying on the character, and when you are injured, the way you move about and how it does affect your gameplay. And just the whole gameplay is so tactical, and you do actually have to think about what you are doing. You can't just go running about like crazy and guns blazing. It's also great to go stealthily for sure, which I do try and do every now and then. But I think in terms of how open world tactical shooters go, there's not many for a start, especially in modern day, and definitely for the more casual player that just wants a game to play for fun. I think this game's great to play now, and also it's something that is a story as well. It doesn't have to be played in multiplayer. I feel like it's an easy game to sort of pick up on and anyone can sort of play it. Not to say that there isn't a bit of difficulty there, but although the AI isn't, very advanced, it does definitely help. And then you can also play with teammates, and that's why I will always recommend it just for someone wanting a game to play that's fairly big but also fun. And for a beginner, it's not that advanced, and it's one of those Ubisoft games that have definitely been improved since launch, and ones that are actually quite decent right now compared to others. And I think that's all I want to talk about in this video. I know it's a bit more laid back than the other one, but as I mentioned, it was really going over everything that's been changed. So for anyone that did play it at launch, that want to know the changes, and I think you can tell that it has definitely been improved, and I do appreciate them doing that because they could have easily left it how it was, but I think they knew that they wanted to actually make use of it. But it's also the community as well actually saying that, the fact that they listened to them and they actually took their advice, and they even say that in the whole news press thing, saying thank you for your support on the game. But now we know that that is everything that they want to do, and it's going to stay like this. So I hope you did enjoy this video of Ghost Recon Breakpoint in 2025 now. If you want to check out my more in-depth video going over everything about the game, if you don't know what it is, then I'll link that one in the description or on a card. And if you enjoyed this one, then let me know by tapping that like button down below. And if you enjoy single player and multiplayer games as well, then that's what this channel does focus on. I have multiple playlists on a selection of games, so you can subscribe to the channel if you'd like to. And if you want to support me any further, then you can become a member at either level 1 or 2. To gain access to various perks, then tap the join button on the channel. Thank you all for the support and watching until the very end. And that was Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and bye bye.